Hello, graduate students. Welcome to Office Hours with Dr. Vooris. I'm going to be doing a series of these videos this semester and for future semesters to help you with some things that will help you get through grad school. Each one of these is going to be about 10 to 15 minutes long. It's going to be posted on YouTube and you can watch it at your convenience. You can rewatch it if you missed something or want to pick up on something that I maybe went by too fast. Our first one here today is on APA style. I'm going to give you a bunch of tips to help you be more successful in APA style. Grad school is all about research. It's also about professional development. Part of that is being able to write well. Dr. Paul Peterson at Indiana University was one of my mentors, and he said the biggest difference between grad school and undergrad is that at the undergrad level, he gives a lot of multiple choice tests. And at grad school, there are no multiple choices. It's a lot of writing. And it is not just being able to memorize things, what we call content knowledge, but it's also digesting that, thinking about it, criticizing it when necessary, and being able to articulate it in clear, concise writing. So a lot of your graduate experience here at Cortland is going to involve writing. Now, every professor is different. I don't know how each faculty member runs their classes. They are free to run those classes as they see fit. So I'm not trying to criticize anyone that may offer multiple choice tests or things like that, but you're going to do a lot of writing. You're going to be in research methods. You're going to be in law and marketing, and those classes require writing and they require understanding APA. I wanted to point out first to you, there is an APA style website from the American Psychological Association. They also have a blog, which is what I have pulled up on the screen in front of me here, that gives up-to-date tips on changes in APA style. Okay, so APA is a method for not just most of the time people think of APA as citation. So how do I cite something? It's also style, which I'll get to in a moment. There's another good tool out there for you, which is the Purdue Owl, which is their online writing laboratory. I used this extensively when I was in grad school. You know, sometimes if you're on the computer, it's easier to pull that up than to go to your trusty APA manual. See, I still have mine from when I first entered grad school in 2010. It sits on my desk. I utilize it multiple times a week. The Purdue Owl has a lot of that online. So yes, it's got guidelines for in-text citations and for your references section, but a bigger part of APA is also style. Style in terms of what good writing looks like, what it sounds like in the mind's ear. And that's a big part of it, of avoiding gender-specific language. That's one of the rules that probably took me the longest to learn, is you really want to avoid he or she and use gender neutral terms whenever possible. And again, for research and citation, Purdue Owl is really good for that in terms of, giving you what a citation will look like, or looking at different examples where you can get an understanding of how do I cite a website, how do I cite a book, how do I cite an article, how do I cite a documentary. Other things you should be aware of or can be aware of APA style. Here we go, on 7th edition. Like I said, APA style is more of a form of writing. Most of the time we get, everyone, myself included, we get caught up in that it is a mode for in-text citation and citations at the end of the paper, and it's a guide for formatting, how headings have to look, what your title page has to look like. Yes, that's all in APA. But one of the most important, just as important as that, is the style of writing. The style of writing. That's why the first half of this book here, for those of you that have it, the first, this is all punctuation. This is, I'm on page 67 here, writing clearly and concisely. There's a whole chapter 3 and 4 are called writing clearly. Chapter 4 is the mechanics of style. It isn't until you get to chapter 6, page 169, that you get to crediting sources. And again, if you haven't picked up one of these, you can probably get a very cheap copy on Amazon or from a bookstore. The book itself has all kinds of examples for different citations. If you use I have the 6th edition here, I haven't updated to the 7th one. It's pretty similar. The blog that I was just showing you has a good overview on some of the changes between the 6th and the 7th. Purdue Owl here also has information on formatting and some of those elements from their style guide, okay? In terms of the font, major paper sections, what a title page has to look like if you want full APA. Again, there's a difference between using full APA and just using APA for citation methods. Okay, so if your faculty member, your professor says, I want full APA style, they probably want a title page, they probably want proper indentations for section headings, they probably want proper use of APA style. I'm looking at the examples right here on Purdue Owl. Looks like every academic paper I've ever written that's an APA. The faculty member may just ask for APA citations, in which case I'm going here to in-text citations, and then I would also go to the references section at the end to find more about that. But again, you can use that online writing library from Purdue, the Purdue Owl, along with this book. Like I said, I go back and forth. You know, if I'm on the computer and I have it open, I'll pull up the Purdue Owl to remind myself, oh, I only have to capitalize the first word after a dash or colon, right? Quotations, here's another very important one of making sure you include a page number for any kind of citation, and then, or for quotations, I should say, and then longer quotations that are more than 40 words have to be offset like this example here. Right? I had a huge problems with that on my dissertation when I was having long excerpts, and I had to remember that if it's more than 40 words, it needs to be indented and set out like that. Okay. Where did I want to go next? Oh, I wanted to show you a couple of what this looks like. But yeah, the Purdue Writing Owl or the Purdue Owl is a great resource for that. And again, like I said, there's a lot of stuff on the APA website in terms of style and grammar rules. Again, if your faculty member or your professor is more interested in just in-text citations and citations at the end, you know, there's an extensive references example library here that you can look at. So if you are citing a research article, they have different examples right there. You know, I'll just use this here as an example with the author, the title. One of the important things with the title to notice is that it's only the first word of the title and then any proper nouns that are capitalized. The only other thing that gets capitalized is that first word after the colon. So you'll notice this is a really good example. That's probably why they chose it. It's a really good example. E is capitalized there. The A is capitalized after the quotation mark. Nothing else is capitalized except for the proper noun in the sentence, the name of a country, United States. Okay. The name of the journal is in italics along with the volume title, and then the page numbers with the period at the end. Okay. This is a direct object identifier. Sometimes I never put it in any of my citations anymore because sometimes they're easily accessible, sometimes they're not. But that's called a direct object identifier. Each research article has a unique one. Okay, so here's another, here is an example of a project that I've been working on related to gender differences in esports, and a bunch of references that I've been writing out. One of the general easy rules for you to remember when writing any kind of reference, it is always, always, always going to be some version of name, type, date, title, source. It is always going to be some version of name, date, title, source. Name, date, title, source. It's been a lifesaver for me these last 10 years as I've been doing this stuff. So as an example here, this article right here has multiple authors. Authors are always listed in the order of their contribution to the work in APA. So it is not alphabetical. So this is, you know, the authors worked out who did the most work. You go first. Second most, you go second. So a lot of authors on this one. Then the date in parentheses. Then the title of the article there, which was Esports Venues, and then its source, which was the Journal of Applied Sport Management, the 10th volume, pages 34 to 49. Name, date, title, source. I think I may have in here this one, which is this one is a print article from Variety. So for example, on this one, I might have a specific date, you know, you would put the date in the date here. So it would be, I don't know, November, I'm just making this up, November 25th, okay? So if you have a specific date, you include it. But again, same thing for this one here. Name, date, title, the problem of toxicity in esports, the source, which is Variety, and then the literal URL source that directs people to it. So that's a little bit about APA. I wanted to mention one more thing with APA. Pull up an article from a few authors you may know here and show you what this looks like in real life. I'm sure many of you have read articles before. Minimize this just a little bit. You know, in APA, you cite almost every sentence. You cite almost every sentence. That's because you want to support what you're saying and you want to make sure that it's not just speculation or it's not just making it up. But there are different ways to cite. And I wanted to show you this article because I wrote a part of it, so I know which part of it I want to show you. Oops. So that citation doesn't always need to go at the end of a sentence like it does in MLA and some other formats. So as an example, right here in the beginning, as a result, Frank Pizzo and Baker, parentheses, 2008, wrote of the importance for the field of sport management to give serious consideration to esports. You know, one of the challenging things for me when I write research articles is kind of, you know, finding different ways to present that citation rather than put it at the bottom, which you can do. You'll see the next sentence here, you know, additional sport management scholars, yada, yada, yada. And then the citation is at the bottom of who those additional scholars are. Okay, and those additional scholars are separated with a semicolon. But then the next paragraph goes back into the other format. So in this format, it's the author's name at the beginning here, 2008, argued that regardless of whether sports quantifies it, yada, 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 so on and so forth. Okay, here's an example of using that format again with the author at the beginning saying Wagner offers a more holistic approach, writing, quote, esports is an area of sport activities, yada, 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 with the page citation at the end. So again, you know, whenever I am writing these, I always go back and forth, and it makes the writing more livelier and more engaging when you are switching back and forth or finding different ways to present that, you know, what fits well with just a citation at the end, and when can I say, you know, according to research by Darwin, you know, females find the online gaming environment to be very toxic, you know, and when can I cite at the beginning of the sentence? I was looking for some more examples here, you know, here's a good one, according to Connell and Messerschmitt, 2005, masculinities, et cetera, et cetera. So you can switch back and forth. That makes the writing a lot more livelier. And as you'll see in this APA paper right here, you know, headings and organization are important in terms of separating the different sections if you have to write a very comprehensive APA section. Where's the other paper that I had? You know, here's another paper that I'm working on. And you can see as a work in progress, you know, I've got citations here, but the organization, you know, of the sections is very important. Whenever you start a section, it's always center. centered. Your follow-up heading is going to be bold, but to the left. If I did another heading, it would be indented with a period in the bottom. There's a whole page in this book. I think it's page 157. Let's see if I'm right. I think it's 157 that directly tells you, oh no, it's not. Darn it. 157 is structural equation modeling in APA. There's a page in here directly that shows you how to do headings. Maybe it's 137. Did I get my numbers messed up? No. But it's in here, or you can just Google it to find the proper headings for APA. But again, you'll see it down here. The results centered. Tables always look like that with the bold, and then the definite, or not the title of the table always has to be italicized. Okay, that is pretty much going to wrap up this office hours session on APA. Hopefully that was a little bit helpful for you. Again, my number one suggestion for you, my number 1 and 2 suggestion would be to use that APA style guide that's online, to use the Purdue Owl, which I just found through a simple Google search, or you can remember that it's owl.purdue.edu. Their president is Mitch Daniels, former governor of Indiana. Or pick up 6th or 7th edition of probably the most important writing manual that's out there. Good luck.